Deal breakers in a relationship. This one is really weird. Doesn't kiss you at red lights.
Excuse me?
Right. Hello.
Welcome
Or welcome back
to the Womanly Podcast,
Where we embrace womanhood in its entirety.
from the hard and awkward conversations
to the silly and embarrassing moments.
An effort to reclaim and redefine what it means to be womanly in this crazy, wacky world. I'm Delana, the neutral one.
I'm Katie, the morbid one.
And I'm Madeline, the other one. And we're so excited that you've joined us today because there's room for you at our table.
So, grab your favorite drink and let's have a conversation.
Hey, hi, hello. It's Delana interjecting to say that this episode is a part 2 to an episode of us reacting to what the internet has to say about dating. So if you missed part 1, no worries. It's not sequential. You can go back and listen to that episode either before or after you listen to this episode. However, in this episode, you will hear us skip over things that we usually talk about at the beginning, like what we're drinking and how we are, because this is a part 2. I hope that you enjoyed the episode. I have another little list of deal breakers in a relationship. Ooh. And there were some of these in particular that I was like, so I wanted to talk about them.
Yeah.
The top one is cheating, so that one's obvious.
Yeah.
Deal breaker.
Should be a deal breaker, yeah.
Snooping through your phone more than once. Deal breaker.
So I actually had this conversation with a good friend recently, that her husband did this. And
her husband snooped through her phone?
Yes.
Okay.
And told her he had done it. I think for me, like, we know each other's passwords. Neither of us have anything to hide. So I think for me, what would be more harmful in that moment is their intention behind doing it. Like, if you're snooping, to me, it's like you're looking for something. You think you're going to find something.
Yes.
And to me, the harmful thing in that is that you don't have trust in me.
Yeah, you might think he's cheating or think he's doing something bad.
Yeah.
And that is the harmful thing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hurtful that they would think that you are being dishonest.
Yeah. So that would be the thing to me that would cause issue, not so much that they're doing. Like,
Yes.
I don't know,
totally
because then
agree.
at the same time, it's like if you're snooping, like you're purposefully going and looking through, then what other intention do you have? But
Right.
I just don't think that if I handed them my phone or they had my phone and they looked kind of at some stuff, like, I just don't think that I would be bothered by it unless they were actively looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I don't know how you snoop without actively looking for something.
Right.
So
Yeah. I feel like if the partner has given you a reason to feel insecure, then like snooping is okay if it's not done in like secrecy. But then that's also a blurred line, because like if you're genuinely worried that they, like, you have good reason to believe that they are like cheating on you, then they're not going to willingly give you their phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like you have to have good reason. It can't just be like, I feel a little bit insecure because he's friends with like another girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that there are times that it's like appropriate, quote unquote, but I just think that there should be conversations that happen way before that happens.
Yeah, and
you know what I'm
there should
saying?
be conversations after the fact, like in this particular situation. Like, we all have moments of weakness where we may do things that we wouldn't ever do.
Yeah.
In our stronger moments, and for him to have, been like, you know what, this is something I did, and this is why I did it, and like fess up to it without her having to ask about it or find out about it. Like, to me, that's if you make that error, if you want to call it that, that's the right way to approach it after the fact, is to immediately say, you know what, like, you trusted me with this. I had a moment of weakness. This is why. I just wanted you to know. And like, no matter how it turns out from there, I think that's the best way that you could possibly
honesty
manage that. Yeah.
And just being like, it was not like anything that you did that, if assuming that's the situation, it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I was having a moment and I was being dumb, or whatever.
We're all prone to those dumb moments.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Deal breakers, controlling. That's an obvious one. I think we would all agree, if they're controlling, not good. Someone who doesn't want you to post certain things on social media. I knew that was going to be a big for you.
This is a rough one, because I think it depends on what it is. Like, I think sometimes if there's a certain... there's been conversations where it's like something's been posted, and I'm not crazy about the way that he represents himself, because he's posted in the height of like it's an emotional response. And I'm like, you know what? I just, like, to me, you're not representing who I know you are and your intention behind this very well. And it's like, hey, like, I know your heart and I know who you are, and you posting it with an emotional response to something it's not representing yourself right. And then because I am linked to you, it's not representing me right.
It's kind of more of like less about, it's more of like a character thing, or the way that the character is being portrayed, you know, that you're just kind of like, hey, don't know if you know, but you're kind of coming across a little bit this way. Sam posted the sexiest picture of me that exists on the internet. He posted it and I was like, okay. Sure.
And that's different too, is it's when, you know, I don't know. It's just, it's between the couple. But I think whenever it comes down to like them having an opinion on literally everything you post, or like feeling like you need to clear something with them, that's abusive. It's not having a partnership and recognizing that what you do and what you post reflects on them as well. It's abusive.
Yep. So this next one is, next deal breaker is someone who doesn't post you on their social media.
If it's somebody who is like, they have the pictures, they don't want you tagging them, they don't like, I don't know, like if they're purposefully making
going
sure that
out of
you
their way
to make sure that you are not on their social media, represented on their social media, that to me is a red flag.
Yeah.
Now, if there's somebody who just doesn't post on social media much, or like you look at their social media and it's been however many years, or they're just not active on it and they're not posting you, that's okay. Like that's just their habit. That's their long harbored habit. Yeah. But if they're going out of their way to make sure that any sort of attachment to you is not seen on the internet, that's a red flag.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I laughed at that one the first time I saw it, because Sam and I are notorious for like going years without posting anything about each other.
And that's okay. If that's your habit, that's your habit.
Yeah, and we'll both post on social media pretty frequently. We just don't really post about each other. Like, we are not one of those couples that just like post lovey-dovey posts.
Yeah, I do.
Once a week.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm not saying that it's better one way or the other. That's why I chuckled at that one, because I was like, then Sam and I we're deal broken, you know?
And I had a reaction to it because prior to Cord, all my experience, like for the most part, all my experience has been with men who were not willing to commit and who were not like, you know? So my thing was like, oh, well, I know what this kind of person looks like. Cord does not post on social media all that much. Like if you look at either of our Instagrams, you wouldn't see pictures of us together, but we also just don't take pictures together that often. We've tried to get better about it. But if you look into our social media, you'll find stories that we've tagged each other in because we go to concerts together, or there'll be a picture at a concert of the stage, and usually he's tagged at it, or there's something within the caption that shows, oh, we went to this together. Yeah. So I think there should be some sort of breadcrumb somewhere, even if it's pictures people have tagged of the two of you together, or you interacting on each other's social media. Like there's going to be breadcrumbs that shows. Now that's not totally necessary in order for you to have a healthy relationship, but whenever you commit your life to somebody or you're actively dating somebody, ideally there's breadcrumbs somewhere. Yeah. And if they're purposefully making sure there aren't breadcrumbs, that's any sort of attachment whatsoever, that's a red flag.
Yeah, I agree. Red flag.
Because again, if he's interested in you, he'll want you to know it, and he won't care if anybody else knows it either.
Yeah, I remember one of my boyfriends, whenever I was like, it was just like one of those casual things where I was like, oh, let's make it Facebook official, and he like hesitated and he was like, ugh.
Yeah,
and there was immediately this thing in me, like I was like,
never
this
mind.
is not gonna last long. That only lasted for like a month.
Oh gosh.
The next one is rude to staff in public. Totally agree with that.
Gosh.
Yeah, that is the least attractive thing. That is such a turn off.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Not just about how you treat me, it's about how you treat everyone around you.
It's about how you treat the people. Like it's about whether or not you're nice to people you don't have to be nice to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes a long way.
Yeah. This one I found really interesting. Low sex drive. Deal breaker?
Well, we've talked about like love languages and stuff like that. I think that goes into it if you are a very like physical person. That's probably more important to you. It's not super important to me, but I do think it's important. I think wanting to be intimate with one another is important, but maybe it's not a total deal breaker.
Yeah.
I don't think that personally, I don't think it should be a deal breaker.
No.
Because I feel like 9 times out of 10, there's something else going on. Like either
Yes.
it's a hormone thing or
Mental health,
depression,
medication.
anxiety. Like I personally have had a lot of sexual anxieties, like where it was really, really hard for me to be intimate with my partner, and that was a really sticky thing to navigate, and it killed my sex drive a lot because it was just confusing and stuff like that. And so I think that there's things that are way more complicated that go into a low sex drive. I don't think that I do think that there are people that have a lower baseline.
Yes.
But I don't think that it should be that important that it's like a deal breaker that you guys have to have the same baseline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also because even if it's the same when you first are together, 5-10 years down the road, it's going to change. It's going to change. And you're going to get to a point in your life where individually, neither of you are really interested in that. And the relationship has to be so much, like, that's intimacy is a big part of it. And that's really important. But it's not all of it.
There's intimacy on so many more levels than just physical.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is always on their phone.
I hate that. Honestly, it's
You hate
not
it?
a deal breaker, but I hate it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a deal breaker either.
It's not a deal breaker, but
It's really
like,
annoying.
it's so annoying. I'm like,
Yeah.
like, can you just be present?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel how my mom used to feel about me when I was a teenager. I couldn't get my face out of my
how
phone.
you've aged.
Yeah.
Growth. Hashtag growth.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's super annoying, but that's another one of those things where I'm like, why do they want to be on their phone all the time? Do they need to recharge? Are they socially anxious? You know, like,
Is it a big part of their job, or
is
like
it a big
it's
part
a
of their
social
job?
anxiety
Yeah, like
for-
it's there's a lot of different things that can play into that. Like,
are
I
they
know
doing it just because they don't enjoy being around you?
No. Well, not
Well,
in
for
my
some
case.
people, yeah.
But yeah,
for some people, but that's where the thing is that, like, I know sometimes I get on my phone and I just just please leave me alone for a little while. If you leave me alone for a little while, I will love to be with you and engage in conversation and everything, but I just gotta be in my own world for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but if that was like all the time, then that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't hold meaningful conversation.
That would be rough for me.
Yeah, I could not do that. I think that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, and I think
so.
that's so personal, dependent on the person. But yeah, for me, I've had dates where, and obviously first dates aren't really the place to expect meaningful conversation to happen. But I've been on dates where I will be having a conversation with a dude and he will question literally everything I say. Like I'll talk about like an article I read or a fact that I know or something, and then he's like, "Oh, really? No, I'll have to research that later." And I'm like, why am I even sitting here?
Oh my
this
gosh.
is so stupid and not worth my time to sit here.
That's
like
so annoying.
Yeah, after that I was like, never doing that again.
Yeah.
But meaningful conversation can look so different. It's just being interested in what the other person has to say. Like, I think that's what it comes down to. So it could be just talking about Spider-Man or something like that, but just having a genuine interest in what the person has to say. Or it could be like, oh, tell me about your religious trauma or whatever. Like, that can be a really meaningful conversation too, but just having that genuine interest in what the other person has to say. That's important to me.
It's very important.
So next one is talks about themselves too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't enjoy it.
I wouldn't enjoy it if they never like ask about you or your thoughts or like. Although I do think there are some people where there's like an interesting dynamic, because Sam and I are actually kind of like this, where he is not the type of person where he'll just like tell you about his day. I am the type of person where I come downstairs, I'm going to tell you from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every freaking thought I had.
Yeah.
And I'll just ramble about it. And he's so sweet. He loves to listen to it. It's like the most precious thing. And I love him so much. But there are some times where I'm like, frick, do I just talk about myself all the time?
Yeah.
And then I ask him and he's like, yeah, it was a good day.
But that's the thing is, it's like, it's a day by day thing, right? Like, you're not doing that 24/7 for the entire 8 years you've been together. if you were, you may not have.
I do it a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? That's okay, because it's like he's meeting you there, and he obviously enjoys it, and he makes some space for that.
And there have been times where I've specifically asked him, I'm like, is it like too much? Like I can reel it in, you know? And he's like, no. He always has the sweetest response. He's like, because I've really become aware of it over the past year or so. I'm like, is this too much? You know, because I've just really become really comfortable with myself over the past year.
That's
and
great.
I think that's where a lot of it has come out of, where I just come out and I'm like excited to share this and that. And anyways, he'll just be like, I really enjoy what you enjoy. So I love hearing the things that you enjoy. And I'm like,
Aww. Brownie points.
He meets you exactly where you are and enjoys every
very
second
sweet.
of it.
Yeah, that's very sweet. Yeah, for sure.
So I think it kind of depends on the dynamic of like what can be too much, you know?
I think the attitude behind it too.
Yeah,
Like
and
if
the
you're doing it
attitude.
because you think you're hot shit, and that's why you can't help but talk about yourself all the time,
Yeah.
that's an issue. If you're doing it because like you're going through tremendous growth and there's like a lot of things that you're finding out or making
Blooming.
connections, and
Yeah.
if it's that, like that, to me, like that, to see you gassed up gasses me up kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what Sam sees.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
do think a lot of it comes down to the attitude behind it.
Yeah, the intention.
And if you're trying to get attention or you're trying to get sympathy, like to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get a reaction.
Yeah,
of some
like
sort.
the whole,
Yeah,
it's
that's
all
gross.
about the
Yeah.
attitude behind
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is really weird, and I took the description with it
Okay.
because I was like, okay. Doesn't kiss you at red lights. And let me read the description.
Excuse me.
Right. We don't mean literally every traffic light. What we are saying is that if a relationship lacks passion at moments like this, then go out and find the Travis to your court.
Oh.
I will say that I dated a guy once who did kiss me at red lights, literally.
Oh God.
And it
oh,
was
God.
It
That
was
would be
not
so
great.
annoying.
Like,
That
well,
would be
okay,
so
not
annoying.
that. Like, it wasn't that it was not great. I enjoyed it at the time, but I was like 18, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like a Taylor Swift song or whatever. But the dude himself was not great. Like, it just didn't end.
That
well.
makes all the difference.
Yeah, so it's like that again, not.
Every once in a while, we'll have a stoplight kiss. It's only every once in a while. but
Yeah, it's not like the
Yeah.
ultimate
If like we've been on a
judgment.
really sweet date and I'm like
Yeah.
feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
I'll lean over and kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say something sweet to each other, the
it's
conversation, you know. Yeah.
Not in any way, shape, or form a deal breaker if he does not kiss me at a stoplight.
Yeah.
Next deal breaker: drastically different music taste.
Oh, please.
That seems service level.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, it would be annoying sometimes, like
Yeah.
long car rides and stuff like that. But then again, it's kind of like, how annoying? Like Sam listens to music that I'm not a fan of, and it's like I can get over it for
I
the
think-
songs that he wants to listen to. You know?
I think if their interest was like racist music or like skinhead
Oh.
music, I'd be like, no.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But then that's more of like a values thing,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
just music.
yeah. And I think too they need to I think you both need to be willing to listen to each other's music.
Yeah.
If you have drastically
too.
different music tastes and it's like a big deal to listen to somebody else's music for a little bit, you make it a big deal, then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna work out.
That's the thing, is that you make it a big deal, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like that also comes to a point where it's like, can you just enjoy when your significant other enjoys something? Like,
Yeah.
even if you don't enjoy the thing that they enjoy,
Yeah.
Can you enjoy that
maybe
they
you
enjoy
might,
it?
though. Like maybe it might be good for you to be exposed to different music.
yeah.
Maybe you
But
may,
like, even if you already know that you don't like Katy Perry, then
and your boyfriend freaking loves
and
Katy
your
Perry.
boyfriend loves Katy Perry.
Totally
And whenever
fine.
I say your boyfriend, obviously I mean myself.
Yeah.
I love Katy Perry.
Delena's your boyfriend.
Yeah, and so if I love Katy Perry, it's like there's music that he doesn't listen, that he listens to, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm enjoying it because you enjoy it. Next one, lies.
No,
Yes.
Deal breaker.
deal breaker.
Lacks etiquette.
I mean, if he's like sitting across the table and he can't freaking chew with his mouth closed, that's a deal breaker. You should have learned that in your adolescence.
It reflects on you, too.
But I don't freaking care if you don't know which fork to use at a fancy dinner.
For me, it's like if it is a blatant disregard for respect
Manners.
for those around you and manners, then yes. If it is a lack of like, oh, I didn't know that was inappropriate or that bothered you or something like that, then that's a different story.
For me, it's the difference between etiquette and manners. If you don't have manners, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you chew with your mouth open, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't care about like, and I'm a cotillion kid. I grew up going to cotillion.
I don't know what that is.
It's like the
the
fancy rich
etiquette.
kid. Like you're gonna learn.
Okay.
You're gonna learn how to set a table and
Dang.
what fork to use for what food and ballroom dancing and all of that.
I'm
So
impressed.
I grew up going to high tea.
Both y'all richer than me.
I'm not though.
I'm not though.
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care about etiquette so much. Just don't chew
Nah.
with your mouth open. That's
Just
disgusting.
be mindful. That's all.
Yeah.
Money obsessed. Deal breaker?
I think there's a healthy balance. I don't love a
Yeah.
workaholic.
The word obsessed is the thing that's troubling there.
Yeah.
Because what does that look like?
Yeah.
Because I think it's good to want to push yourself to new heights and make money because obviously that's important in order to survive in this world, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're obsessed to the point that everything else suffers because of your obsession with money, because of your drive to make more money,
Yes.
that's a problem.
Yes. Agreed.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure that that's, unless it's a really extreme case, I'm not sure that that's an evident thing
Yeah.
in the beginning of dating. But
Yeah.
like once you get in a relationship and you're able to see those things,
Like you see the priorities being put
yeah.
in the wrong order. Yeah, I'll be honest. Whenever I first read that one, I was like, really? Money? I was like, what's wrong with wanting to make money?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I personally love making money.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like a passion
It's
for
freedom.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I at first I was kind of like, what? I think it's fine to like making money, you know, but I think you're right in that like the key word there is obsessed. Like if
Yeah, it just makes
you
me
get
think,
blinders and like don't see anything else, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
it makes me think of the saying that the root of all evil is love of money, or the love of money is the root of evil. Greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there are there is a line that you can cross with that, and
Yeah.
if it is true obsession over a lot of things can be an issue, and it's just dependent on what you are willing to allow or be okay with.
Yeah.
I think obsession over money is regularly, not just in relationships but in the world in general, can be a big issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed. No sense of humor. Deal breaker?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, I want the person to be funny. I like to laugh.
Yeah.
I do
Same.
too.
Yeah.
There's like this deep like part of my soul that just like
Needs
has to
to
connect in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have to have like that. I would almost say is like one of my friends, who is not my friend anymore, but she said something in the past that I didn't even realize how important it was to me. Somehow we got into the conversation about like what's the thing that they feel like really connects them to another person, whether it's a friend, relationship, or whatever. And I don't remember what they said. The only thing I remember from that conversation is I was like, I sat there and they had like shared all of their things, and I was like, I don't know what my thing is. And she goes, yours is humor. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like there is a very particular, like if somebody makes me laugh in a certain way, there's like this part of me that like lights up, and I'm like, I feel so connected to you now,
Laughing
you
is
know?
a language.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that.
Sure.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you can laugh
it's a
with
universal
somebody,
language too.
yeah,
Everybody
if you can
understands
laugh
that.
with somebody, that's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's magic. I like
I
that.
love
like it
laughing.
when you can do the kind of laugh that you physically hurt afterward.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
That's like
same.
the ideal. You have arrived
Yeah.
Yeah.
after that.
It's like this thing, like I can have the deepest, even like the most heart-wrenching conversation with somebody that is just like so deep and so intimate and stuff like that, and I will not feel as connected with them as if they make me laugh in a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I get that.
Yeah.
I do.
Agreed.
They constantly cancel. Deal breaker?
I'm the kind of person that if somebody cancels on me, a little part of myself celebrates. But I do think that I do think it can be a red flag if they're constantly canceling on you and they can't commit and they can't follow through. In a dating relationship, especially early on, if it becomes a trend and there's not a legitimate reason behind it, like if they're a brain surgeon for little children and they're constantly called, or they're a doctor that delivers babies and they're constantly called away, and they aren't able to, obviously if that's like a legitimate reason why your plans don't work out, then there's that, and you get to make the decision, is this the life I want to live?
Yeah.
Not being able to trust that these plans are going to continue.
Yeah.
But there are situations where there aren't legitimate reasons behind canceling, and they're not able to give you those reasons, and there's no validation behind that, and that to me is a red flag.
Definitely.
Because then again, it goes back to, if this person's interested in you, they're going to make the effort, and they're going to be transparent, and they will see you, and they will follow through on it, and you're not going to be confused or questioning it. You're just going to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. They always expect you to pay. Deal breaker? I feel like this is like an early relationship thing.
Yeah.
And it depends on the relationship.
Yeah.
Expecting to pay, I do think that it depends on the way that is developed. If you're going into a first date, you're going into a second date, and you're just expecting that person pay outright, and you haven't had, experience with them or history with them.
Yeah.
Or you just expect people to pay for you anyway because of your background. Again, I think that's such a person-to-person thing.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's important to you, or how you are as a person.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this one. Like early on in the relationship, I feel like
I like the idea of the guy paying.
yes.
I like the idea of the guy paying, but also in recent years, I've really appreciated the girl offering to pay.
There's a difference between expecting it and being unwilling to participate in payment times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that where I've like been sitting here trying to pinpoint like how and why I feel the way that I do about this. And I think it comes from the idea that like women are maybe, I want to say this delicately, but like maybe more often known to put more into the relationship. And so like at the beginning, the man offering to pay,
least you can do is
the
pay.
man offering to pay is like a big sign of like, hey, I'm really interested in you. Like I want to provide this experience for us, you know, type of thing. But I also like now, and maybe it's just because I've been married for so long that like, we share a bank account and we pay for things together, that now I am just kind of like, let's on a date.
And it does come down, like if you were to be dating and say like you are dating, you are a boss babe and you are making your money, and you're dating somebody who's maybe in like medical school or something like that, and they don't really
different
have that
phase.
income,
and
you're in a different phase, and like the expectation is just different, and you are, maybe you have to pay a little bit more because you have the income and your partner does not. It's just a different thing. It's case by case with the relationships and just kind of deciding. But I think it goes back to being unwilling. Like if you were in that circumstance and you were expecting him to pay regardless of the fact that he's not making the income to carry you, to foot the bill on everything, and the lifestyle that you want to live, and you're unwilling to meet him halfway or to have a compromise or to have a agreement on it, that to me is the red flag, and that to me is the deal breaker.
they gaslight you.
Deal breaker. Move on.
In any relationship,
Next.
friendship, family,
Mic drop.
marriage.
Period. That's it.
Yep. Period.
Yeah. Period. T.
They're too jealous. Deal breaker.
I think a little bit of jealousy is.
I think it's okay. But it has to
Healthy.
be managed.
Yeah.
It has to be managed, and it can't be your responsibility, because jealousy that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Right. If you're unable to recognize that that's a personal thing, and that's like
It's
an
not
inside,
the
that's
same
an
in
inside
every
job.
relationship.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
But I don't think that a little bit of jealousy is a sign of something really bad.
I think that there are people who are just like crazy. Like they just
Yes.
want to be jealous, and it's like an attention thing, and it's like extreme insecurity and all this stuff. And there are those people. But I think that jealousy is also one of those things where you have to meet the person where they're at, because it could be from their past, you know, them having relationships that were shady or even being full on cheated on, you know, stuff like that, that they get really weary about you interacting in certain ways with the opposite sex. And so I think that like one of the things early on in mine and Sam's relationship, it has always been a thing where he's like, hey, any level of anything that you're uncomfortable with, just let me know.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't want me to private message women, you know, I won't do it. Or you want me to stop talking to this one girl, I'll stop talking. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever you're comfortable with. And because of that, I was far more comfortable with so many more things that I think would be normal, you know, because
he's open about it.
Because he's so open. and I was just like, yeah, because you've been so like, hey, I'll meet you where you at, whatever, you know, you also have access to my phone, like blah, 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 I don't have anything to hide type of thing. It's made me way more comfortable just to be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure, like a tiny bit, I think is okay, because I think that's just kind of a normal reaction to things.
Yeah.
But kind of talking about what you were just talking about in my relationship there, I don't like, there's not much jealousy. And I'm actually somebody who has been cheated on. So for me, like, I don't really experience that all that much. I don't think he does. But however, we recognize that that's just kind of can sometimes be a normal reaction to things.
Yeah.
So the communication is so important, and just being upfront and saying, like, if there's anything like that, like he did with you, I think that's so healthy.
Yeah.
I have things like, last year at one point, one of my really good friends who is a man, was in a situation that he was uncomfortable with, and he didn't want to stay at his place. And so he wanted to come hang out and stay at my place possibly. And so I just said to Court, I was like, look, this is the situation we're in. He knows this person really well. And I'm like, if this makes you uncomfortable for him to come sleep on my couch, just let me know. And the first thing he said was, you don't have to ask for my permission. I was like, I'm not asking for your permission.
Yeah.
I want to show, like, I want you to know that I respect. It's important for me. Like, I would feel comfortable knowing that you're comfortable with this rather than not approaching the conversation at all. And I think that that's an important approach in things. Even if somebody doesn't show jealousy, or if they do show like a normal amount of jealousy, there are ways to curb that instead of feeding it.
Yeah. I think that like the only way to kind of soothe jealousy, if you will, or like calm it, is proactiveness.
Yes.
Like that, where it's like, hey, I just don't want this to feel like an afterthought.
Yeah.
You know, and like Sam being open from the beginning of like, hey, if you're ever uncomfortable with anything, just let me know. You're my priority, you know, and because of that, you become comfortable because you feel like this person has your back, that you're their number one, you know, and I think that's the only cure, if you will, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Last one, no shared values.
None whatsoever.
Deal
Says
breaker.
no shared values.
None whatsoever. Deal breaker.
I don't even know how you could get into a relationship with somebody with no shared values.
It would be so contentious. I don't know how you'd be attracted. I mean, unless it's like all about the physical.
Yeah.
Which I guess there are people out there who are like that, but to me that would be short-lived, or it's not really a relationship.
Yeah. It's just
you're not really dating that person.
Yeah. It's just an F-buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's it for part 2 of what the internet has to say about dating. I hope that you enjoyed both parts 1 and 2. If you haven't listened to part 1, make sure to check it out. It's got loads more of what you just listened to. Either way, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us again for this week's episode of the Womanly Podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media to hang out with us in between episodes and see pieces of our conversations that we don't get to include in these episodes, plus all of our bloopery humanness. We're on Instagram at Womanly Pod and TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter at Womanly Podcast. We hope to hang out with you more there. Have a super womanly week.